Hello and welcome to episode 11, or if you're new to the podcast, this will probably be your starting point for how do you end up doing that with me, Alex Jeffers. I always feel the need to put my name in there. I don't know why, because my name's on the episode description, but it just feels quite natural to say, I guess, because I'm the host. But anyway, this week there is no podcast, so to speak. Obviously, you're listening to it, so it is a podcast. But anyway, there's no podcast, so to speak, and there's no guest. This is a roundup of season 1 of the podcast. Yeah, I thought it would be a good time with 10 episodes to sort of put a pin in it here, book some new guests, get some more episodes recorded, produced, ready to publish for a sort of another 10-week run coming up to the summer of this year. So really looking forward to speaking to some more people and really looking forward to getting season 2, put together and ready to go. But I thought this week it might be nice to kind of record more of an introductory episode, even though it's the last one of the season. But, I'm sure you can work it out. So, I wanted to talk a bit about the inspiration for the podcast. So anyone who's coming to this fresh, or people who've listened to the previous episodes, maybe you want to know a bit more about the inspiration. So the inspiration, what got me thinking about doing the podcast was that I have spent a lot of time chatting to people over the last 10, 15 years, I guess. And I've always found it's probably one of my favourite things to do is chat to people and find out their story, get into a conversation with them and really dig down into, the nitty gritty of what it is that they've done and their story, what they're interested in, what their backgrounds are and how they've ended up getting to where they are right now. So a lot of these people, they might not necessarily get the chance to tell their story to the average person because, podcasting predominantly taken up by more famous people and comedians more than anything else. And I really wanted to give people the chance to tell their story and also get, really my friends, the opportunity to get their story out there and get a bit more of this sort of stuff into the wider world. And hopefully this will form a bit of an aspirational podcast for anyone who's considering changing careers, or maybe some people who are coming up to school leaving age or college, things like that want to explore maybe some alternative options out there in the world of careers and the world of business, and sort of looking at, you don't necessarily need a degree to do the thing that you want to do, and you don't necessarily need to, have it all figured out when you're 15. You can just rock up, leave school, figure it out as you go, figure it out on the job and make a success and making a living out of kind of working out where you're going with everything. So that was the inspiration behind the podcast. And we've had some fantastic, absolutely incredible guests over the 10 weeks. So what I thought I'd do for this podcast would be give a bit of a run through of all the people that we've had on the podcast so far. When I first started recording this, I thought, let's put some clips in here, but it was making it too long, so I just went back, removed all that, and thought, we'll just run through it quite quickly. So episode 1 was with Mark Mansfield from Nation Cymru, which is an online news publication in Wales. Mark's got a really interesting story about how he went through sports journalism and then ended up being the CEO of Wales's leading independent news publication. Episode 2 was with Rob Jones from Dash Mental Health and Wellbeing. Rob's a really fascinating guy who really knows his stuff. It's such an interesting chat, especially if you've got kids, but even if you don't have kids, you'd find it so interesting as well. He's such a knowledgeable guy when it comes to psychology and the way the mind works. Episode 3 was with Joe Latham, who's a graphic novelist. He's got his first book. Well, his first book's out now, actually, on hardback. But my copy, which I bought, is arriving in the middle of April, I think. Then episode 4 was with Captain Barrett, who is the hip-hop coordinator with Museum Wales, or Amgueddfa Cymru. Before that, Captain was the head of programming at Boomtown, and he's done a lot. Captain, he's so invested and interested and involved in the music scene in Cardiff and beyond, festivals. He's such an interesting guy. That was the longest one that I had recorded, right up until we went into episode 5 with Steve Dimmock. Now, Very much a handbrake turn from Captain, talking about hip hop and his work in music. Was talking to Steve. He's a lovely man, but he has spent he spent the first part of his career in recruitment, then went to work for a tech startup, or found a tech startup and an agency, and now he is a commercial director with Awen Cultural Trust. And it's really interesting hearing Steve's kind of take on how he's transitioned through those different skills, and how there's this sense of being with people and looking at people and talking to people is very much the thing that's run, as he describes it, run through him like a stick of rock, which I think that sort of says a lot about Steve's outlook. Then again, another very much a handbrake turn from there, to speak with Tony Hassett. Now Tony is he's one of the first people that I met when I moved up to Cardiff, and I've got such a love for Tony and some of the stuff that he's done. Now, Tony is a fibrous plasterer. He works with restoring old buildings, but he's also worked on film sets and creating sceneries for films like Aquaman. A really, really talented guy, and talking about how his background in rugby then took him through to really intricate sort of model making, artwork, fine art, working in a foundry. It's incredible, that chat. Absolutely amazing. Then episode 7 was with Miles Cook, who has got such a varied set of things that he currently does. Now, Miles is a tech consultant. I've known Miles for years now, working on and off with various startups, building software, websites, stuff like that. But he also now is a race car instructor. He is a part to play in a co-working space, and he does a bit of 3D printing as well. So yeah, that's a really good chat. Then episode 8 is with Gary Piazon, who was Miles's business partner, I guess, with Porter Travel, one of the startups we talk about. But yeah, Gary's got a really great story about how he's balancing his time now between running a travel startup, running a content innovator. Well, it's called Innovators Uncensored, but I think he describes it as a media business, which is it's a really good way of putting it, I think, because they do a newsletter, they do meetups, they just go grand plans for all this different stuff they're doing, and yeah, it's quite nice to chat to someone who is ups and downs through their career. I think definitely, like he's put a lot of time and a lot of effort into a lot of startups. They haven't necessarily gone the way that you would hope, but he keeps trying, and he's got that perseverance and that mindset. And Gary, that one's great. Episode 9 was with Sue Ravel, who is a leadership coach and podcast host. It's actually quite a hard thing to say. Yeah, Sue was lovely. It's just such a, I guess, the things that she's done. Like, she ended up moving a hospital, being in charge of moving a hospital, going from nursing to being in charge of managing the moving of a hospital, to then setting up her own leadership consultancy, hosting her own podcast. Like, the stories are just bonkers. And then the last one in the season was with Deborah Price, an old friend of mine. She's she's a production coordinator with Aardman Animation. Now, if you don't know Aardman, they make Wallace and Gromit, Chicken Run, Morph. What was the other thing they made? Arthur Christmas as well. They made Arthur Christmas. But she works as a production coordinator there. She was involved in Chicken Run 2, Dawn of the Nugget, which, amazing film. And yeah, that is another just like fascinating story, and a look at the other side of the way that films are made. So not necessarily looking at the actors and the things that you see on screen, but looking at the producers and the people who work behind the scenes to organise all of the moving parts that are required to produce a well-rounded, well put together, and thoroughly enjoyable film. Now, at the outro of episode 10, I say that I've got another episode recorded, and I do have another episode recorded, but I just felt like 10 episodes were a good amount to put a pin in things at the end of episode 1, season 1, and sort of say, right, 10 episode block, let's move on to season 2, and we're going to release season 2 in the summertime. I just need a bit of time to book some more guests, give myself a bit of space to edit them down to the standard that I want them to be now. Because you might notice as we go, if you sort of start episode 1 and work your way through, that I think the quality of the editing's improved. I'd say the interviews are very solid throughout, but I think the standard of the editing improves as the episodes progress, because you get into it more, you do a bit more of it, you learn more as you go. And yeah, they're sort of, the episodes are, they get, I wouldn't say they get better, but they just get better produced. So yeah, it's I definitely recommend listening to all of the episodes, or if you want to pick ones that you think you like the sound of more than others, crack on with those. And yeah, but please listen to them, let me know what you think. And it would be amazing if you could follow, leave a 5-star review, like, share. I mean, sharing would be the best thing that you could do. If you could share any of the episodes with anyone that you know, anyone that you think might be interested in some of the work that I've done, please share. I'd love to hear from other people. And yeah, I'd love to hear from you as well. If you wanna get in touch with me, you can drop me an email. My email address is in most of the show notes, but I'll drop it in the episode. Drop it in the show notes for this episode as well. So you can get in touch with me, send me an email, send me any thoughts, comments, things that you think could be improved, or things that you really enjoyed. Whatever, I'd love to hear from you. So yeah, that's I guess the wrap up of season 1, but also the introduction to season 1. Thinking in a circular fashion there. So yeah, I really hope you've enjoyed the first 10 episodes, and I cannot wait to get season 2 out with you some point in the summer. So yeah, hopefully you'll be hitting that follow button, and you'll be hearing from me again come the summer. But please check out all the previous episodes and let me know what you think. So thanks very much, and I'll speak to you soon. Cheers.